Why's it got so many colors in it, man? What is this?
That's the thing. They say you can see the whole universe in opals. That's how f***ing old they are.
All right, so I guess this is like an unofficial like pilot or first episode of BoxRoom. I don't think every episode is going to be about movies, but I mean, most of us are just fucking crazy about movies, so we're just going to talk about them quite often. Obviously, you clicked on the video. It's going to be about Uncut Gems. We all just saw it. When is it supposed to come out?
So it's coming out the 25th, Christmas Day. For all you Jews, it doesn't matter.
They did that for that reason.
Well, the Jews would end up going to see it because that's the Jewish Christmas.
So they're celebrating eating their Chinese food with Adam Sandler.
Why, let's not make this a Jew thing.
No, I'm not. No.
We're celebrating the Jews.
I'm celebrating a Jewish Christmas. Actually,
It's called Hanukkah.
Chinese food. It's Chinese food and seeing a movie in theaters because all of the good movies come out on Christmas.
Uncut Gems.
So why do they?
It's so a lot of these films, they'll be rushed to be screened in theaters before the end of the year so that they can be nominated for the Oscar nominated films, also keeping it fresh because remember last year A Star Is Born, that came out like a few months before Oscar season, and like when it came out everyone was like, oh fucking Star Is Born, and by the time all the other movies came out like The Favorite and whatnot, everyone kind of just forgot about it, even though I personally think that was one of the best movies of last year.
I definitely remembered it. I think it was in my top 10.
Yeah, but I love that movie, but a lot of people, like I guess the critics and stuff did already, a lot of people have already seen it.
No, it was just
it is the fourth
so
iteration of that film.
I just skipped it completely. We should actually introduce ourselves now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Now you know what we sound like. Let's put our names on it.
I'm Matt. If you've watched some of, I guess, the only other video on here, the Grass Feeders pilot, I play Sean.
I'm RK, and I'm the guy that works the camera, and yeah.
I'm Jack Braun. I'm in a few videos that aren't on the BoxHouse channel. You may know me as Peter Clippett. I'm all Santa, so yeah, that's me.
Well, I think we are gonna post some of our old stuff too. So, I would want to do some commentary. This is off topic, whatever. We're gonna do some commentary over our old shit, and I think we're going to post some of it.
I love it.
Can I fucking introduce myself?
No.
All right, what's going on, guys? I'm Jake, and I'm a pretty good son, as you can see in Grass Feeders.
Yeah, he's the
cutting
the son, not the emo son, but the other son,
the handsome one.
Yeah. Just for reference, if you want to see what we look like, and actually, I was listening to a podcast. This is relating to what I was going to get to. I was watching a podcast, or I always listen to it on Spotify, and then I watched it, and I saw what everyone looked like, and I was like, you guys don't look like what you sound like, and it just fucking bugged me out, and I stopped watching.
That would probably freak me out too. Do you guys think that we look like what we sound?
I think I don't. So many people tell me I don't sound the way I look.
I don't know.
I could see it.
Well, you guys are adjusted.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing, is that's a hard question to ask. Do
All
I
right,
sound like how I look?
Anyone who
Drop
is
a
listening
comment
to this,
if you feel that way.
yeah, and like listen to it, get an idea of what we look like, and then come back and look at different videos and see what we all look like. It's gonna be a little harder for me. You're gonna have to do some digging. If you will get me, I'll message you and tell you you're cute. You can put that on your Facebook.
I would say Matt.
Get out.
Matt looks the most like his voice, then me, then Jake, and then RK. You definitely look the most far removed from your voice.
See, that's what people tell me.
So what do you think RK would sound like?
Adam Sandler.
That's nice.
Speaking of Adam Sandler.
Great segue.
Or the Safdie brothers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Better
sounds just
segue.
He would sound like Rick. And if you were wondering what that was, that's Nikolai. What's his name in Good Time?
Nicholas Nikas.
Yeah, I like when people write things down. Well, because in an interview he said he tried swallowing his tongue to do the voice.
He pressed his tongue up against the roof of his mouth very hard and then just tried to speak.
I like when people write things down. That doesn't. I like curl it. It's weird, but
he originally wasn't supposed to be the brother in that movie. Yeah, they tried to get an actual disabled person for that role, but
it's funny because he kind of pulls it off, and I don't mean that to be rude, but like they really like he does look a little disabled.
Yeah.
Not when he's cleaned up, because like you look at his Instagram,
Yeah, like his
he's
hair, his unkempt hair, and like he got like a bit of a unibrow going. He pulled it off very well.
Well, he's got a good like deadpan face.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people can pull that off, and like super symmetrical, and I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about Uncut Gems. I don't know if so we all saw it. 3 of us saw it together. Me, Jake, and RK saw it together. Jack, you didn't see it with us.
Oopsie.
But
we got to see it early.
yeah, we got to see it early. Not that we were special or anything, but we
live in a place where it's kind of special.
yeah. Well, we're in New York.
We
so-
actually didn't even know we were seeing it early until.
Yes, I actually thought the movie was just on a limited release, but I guess this one has a lot more publicity. I guess because Adam Sandler is in the movie,
I mean,
rather than like Good Time, where Robert Pattinson at the time has already kind of like he didn't fall off. Everyone still knew of him.
He got pretty independent.
But he went independent, and like people forgot he was still doing things. Meanwhile, Adam Sandler's all over Netflix.
Well, let's face it.
yeah.
This whole movie had a pretty star-studded cast compared to the other Safdie films. You know what I mean?
But not with like real actors though.
Well, this movie
Right.
got people excited for many reasons, especially the fact that it was Adam Sandler, and we're seeing him in a whole different light in this movie.
I showed the trailer to some people, and they're like, "Holy shit, Adam Sandler looks fucking badass," and I'm like, "Yeah, he kind of does."
He does.
And like just looking at the trailer, you watch it and you're like, "Oh, he's gonna do some shit." Not quite the case when you actually watch the movie. He is very much kind of like he'll like talk his way out of
What
situations.
he does to the situations that he puts himself in.
Yeah.
Is what makes and how he progresses.
He's very grounded.
Let's just establish this for all the listeners now before we get too deep into it. We're gonna try to stay non-spoiler for about like the first like 20 to 30 minutes, and we will make an announcement when we're making that segue over to spoiler zone. So if you want to have our opinions on the movie, stick around if you haven't seen it, which I'm figuring you haven't seen it. And when we hit that 30 mark, we'll let you guys know we're doing it, and you can click off if you're gonna go see it. If you don't want to, hang out.
Or if you just want to hear the spoilers right away, I'm sure we could put a timestamp
Some people
in
are
the
hungry for
description.
spoilers.
Yeah, if you want to actually know what happens, and like I guess a more detailed review rather than
We're gonna spoil the shit out of this.
yeah, no, totally. I plan on it right now.
Get out of here.
So like I remember we were talking about it earlier, but the first thing that came, obviously the first scene, like you still have the similar soundtrack of the Safdie brother films. If you haven't seen any of their shit, I really recommend it. Maybe start with Good Time, because that's just more generally liked. Heaven knows what's a little bit more indie if you're into that.
Good Time, free on Amazon Video, so
Yes.
you got no excuse.
I didn't know that. Nice.
Wonderful movie, but you started off, you hear the synth, and you're like, oh shit, this is it screams Safdie right away. But then it enters, or is it the synthy, or is it just straight up Nigeria?
Well, it has
Like-
some synth, but then it goes into Nigeria.
Because it starts with the universe, then it goes into Nigeria, kind of thing. I don't remember.
It starts with...
I believe it starts with Nigeria. You got the text popping up.
Yes. Okay,
And,
so you're in
starts with,
Then
like,
Nigeria.
as
that
the
drone
synth picks
shot.
up, it sort of
You can
immerses
really
into
tell
it.
that the production value, like they have a huge budget for this one.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well, you
not
can see
super
that right
like
off the
guerrilla.
bat.
Yeah, you see that it's super high budget because they're in a fucking different country, whether it's Nigeria or not.
It's Ethiopia.
We're calling
Oh
it
my
Nigeria.
God.
We're saying
We're a bunch of
Nigeria.
fucking bigots.
Everyone hates
Four
us
white
right
guys
now.
sitting
All right, guys, you
around
can click
in a
away
room.
if you want.
I can't believe
We need a token. No, so whatever. It starts in Ethiopia, and when I remember turning to RK and Jake when we were watching, I was like, dude, this like does not feel like a Safdie Brothers movie, and we were like really thrown back by it. But honestly, I felt like it was pretty essential to the movie. I don't know why everyone had to stop talking. But
That
Or
was
maybe you're the
alarming.
last one to start.
For audio listeners, one of the laptops went into sleep mode, and we weren't sure if it was actually off.
Yeah, panicked a little bit. Wanted to throw up.
we could just cut.
Yeah.
Fucking No, but it was definitely needed to start it there, but it definitely was a little jarring.
Absolutely.
I think in a good way though.
Yeah.
Because like, it felt very supernatural because they were like going into the gems and all that, and you're sort of like seeing it in the perspective of like how they see it in the movie. Like, holy shit, this is like supernatural. It's like magical and like, you know, and you felt that like going through these gems, and it was like sort of in space or whatever. You couldn't really understand what it was, but then when you watch the movie, it's like, oh, okay.
And that was just an introduction. Like, that's the thing. Like, we were
Seconds
all
in.
like taken out of it in a good way when that scene came through, and it was a perfect introduction to the story.
Compared to Good Time, like this film, like the whole scope of it at the very introduction of this film, it feels almost so far removed from their previous work, like Heaven Knows What and Good Time. It's all very grounded in guerrilla style, and then you just get this beautiful drone shot of Ethiopia. It's really jarring. But
I can almost guarantee that wasn't even a drone. That was a crane.
Yeah, so
Oh, crane,
I mean,
yeah,
the
crane,
budget is significantly higher, and what was also interesting was, you know, I mean, soon after you see the opening credits, whatever, it turned out Martin Scorsese was an executive producer on the film,
Yep.
That
which is a
threw me off.
huge step. Like, if you're big into seeing like indie guys make their like, you know,
The underdog becoming the man.
yeah, they're really working their way up, and fucking.
Safdie's made
Yeah,
it,
the
baby.
Safdie, they're getting there, especially at least in New York. I don't
Getting
know how.
recognized, and right then and there, that showed it.
Yeah,
they're
like,
slowly becoming masters at their craft.
and that's another thing is like if you've watched their shit, me and RK have actually spent a lot of time watching their short films. At least at one point they were on Vimeo. I think it was like Red Bucket Films.
Yeah, Red Bucket.
Yeah, a lot of their stuff was on there. Given it was like their crew, it wasn't just their stuff.
What was their crew called back then?
Red Bucket Films.
Red Bucket.
And given it was all their crew, so like you would find other people that they were friends with, their films would be on there. I don't know if they've gotten removed since then.
Yeah, that
but,
was a few years ago when we did that, because we were on a binge of their films. I remember when I saw Heaven Knows What, I was obsessed. Me and Matt probably watched that movie like 100 times in my dorm room, and like just analyzing the shit out of it, because they were just like, these guys are gonna blow up.
Yeah,
We knew it right then.
And
Now
you
look
know,
at 'em.
yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is you look at the progression and the similarities between each one of their films. I think the one thing that everyone really, the reason why people get drawn to it is their way of creating conflict, especially in Uncut Gems in particular, because they started off with a bang. It's right away, and it never lets go. Each scene, you can tell, has been written, rewritten, written, rewritten, written, and rewritten, to the point where the conflict is so high stake, and it doesn't matter what scene of the movie it is. And each scene almost feels like a climax, but it just keeps building.
Like, how
And it
can it
never
get
really
worse
lets you-
than this? It's just one after another, and
The film-
everything
yeah.
accumulates.
It
And
produces a level of catharsis that's insane.
What did
Yeah.
do you guys remember what they were pitching the film as, like when it was like in trailers? Was it pitching it as like a thriller?
I think like a. Oh, that is a great question.
I actually have no idea.
Probably like a mixture of like a comedic, dramatic crime thriller. Like, it's hard to really pinpoint.
Yeah,
how-
definitely got the idea of like, I mean, you watch the teaser,
It gives you
it
nothing.
gives you
that
nothing, and
that's
whatever.
what made me more interested in it.
Yeah, you just kind of see Adam Sandler, and you're like, oh. But knowing them, it's just like, I mean, I guess with the first trailer, it was 100% crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of get that idea, because whatever, there's
Good Time
violence,
felt
there's
Organized crime,
well,
stuff like that.
Good
yeah.
Times trailer gave away a lot.
It pretty much presented the whole story from the
Yeah,
trailer.
at least up until the second act.
Yeah.
They pretty much gave you everything that's in the first act.
Yeah.
But what's awesome about this, and if you watch their stuff, I would recommend watching it in order, like from their first feature to their most recent, which is Uncut Gems.
Oh, and don't
Because
forget,
there's a steady progression. They never decline, or there's never regression.
It was
you know?
fun to find a way to get better.
if you really want to go old school with starting with the Safdie brothers, I highly recommend. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but you can buy it on DVD. I watched Joshua Safdie's, I believe it was his thesis film for college, The Pleasure of Being Robbed. It's a little over an hour long, and it really, like, it's a really good catalyst for the style that they would end up embracing in terms of like cinematography and overall presentation, and to compare that to Uncut Gems is just wild to think about.
Let's talk
It's
about
amazing.
we should talk about the way that they use the cinematography and like how it was
Absolutely.
done
Oh yeah.
in a non-spoiler way, considering we're still in that half of the thing. Also, this is just turning into a Safdie Brothers circle jerk, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys hate them, like, I don't know.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
How could you hate them?
We should try to. I mean, there's definitely some things here and there that are faulty, but we'll
also-
get to that.
We'll get to the cinematography in a bit. I kind of want to just talk about Sandler's performance, like
Yeah.
without like getting spoilery. Holy shit!
Yeah, that was the thing that I forget which one of you guys I was talking to after I saw the movie, but I was like, what did he like? You leave the movie, you're still anxious. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that took a lot out of me, but in a good way, because it was that investing, like or immersive. But like, I didn't know if it was the editing that made him look even better than his performance actually was, because he
was
you know, it's still
everything.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
There was never really a moment where you were like, oh, this is not Adam Sandler.
One thing I noticed after watching the movie, like I really had to let it soak in, is that in his performance, I sort of got the idea that like he sort of was like separated from himself. You know, like whenever he was talking to somebody, it's like he was like half there. You know, because his mind is always like on the money.
Yeah.
You know, when he was talking to his ex-wife, and like you saw that just looking into this guy's fucking eyes. It's like, come on, you know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like
He was
it's
so
just through his body language.
yeah.
There's
No, his
definitely-
performance was good. But whether to say Oscar winning, I don't.
I wouldn't say Oscar.
it.
But I could see a nom. I could see
That
a
would be
nom.
really cool. I would be
I'd be
really
happy for him,
happy if he got a nomination and got
It's
the
just
recognition.
Yeah.
the best thing about this is that it's different, and like we see him completely differently. I mean, I already said this before, but I can't get over that, and it's truly amazing.
It's different and also in the realm of possibility.
Well, what was P.T. Anderson's film?
Punch Drunk Love.
yeah.
I watched that in preparation for this film, and I'm very glad I did.
Which is still
yeah.
more of his classic Sandler
Yeah.
kind of role,
I
but
will-
it's well written.
Yes, that's
You know,
perfect.
like-
The role, the writing for Punch Drunk Love, so perfectly. It just melds so perfectly for Sandler, considering his demeanor and just his bravado as an actor. I think that character in Punch Drunk Love could only be performed by him.
That's how I feel though about this as well. Is like
Yeah,
I can't picture someone else playing maybe DeVito, and even DeVito I don't think would work. Like
Oh, Danny DeVito?
yeah, I don't know
Well,
why.
now Danny,
no, no.
Danny
I don't know
DeVito
why,
couldn't
but
work.
he was the first name that comes to my head, and I still don't think it would work.
Little fun fact, looking at the IMDb trivia, they mentioned that there were 3 actors that they were possibly going to cast for him, and they were looking like big star. You know, they went from Adam Sandler, who was their number one, and he turned it down initially. Then they went to Harvey Keitel.
that would have been wild.
Imagine that. I don't know if I would have liked it that much. He has like a very like dryness to him.
Well,
do
think about
love him.
not to say who it is, but think of the antagonist and Harvey Keitel. It just wouldn't work.
Harvey Keitel's too scary.
It's literally like the
That
same
lieutenant.
person.
Yeah, you
You
know.
know what I'm saying? It's the same person fighting each other.
Yeah, and then they turned to Jonah Hill, who actually would have been pretty, like
It would have been different.
at least
Yeah.
it would have been
I
a
think he's
different
too young.
movie. He is a little too young, but he could. I felt like he could have pulled it off. He has a good enough range.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
if the adversary in the film was also like kind of closer in the age.
Thing
to the
is,
age
he
of
doesn't
Jonah
look
Hill.
Jewish though.
No.
That's why like
If he grew his hair out a little bit, maybe.
because
Maybe
yeah, it
gained
is
a little
curly,
weight.
right?
You know who?
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking of Jonah Hill now, like think of him from that what's that movie?
Superbad?
He looks more like Adam
Moneyball?
Sandler now than he
look
ever
at that,
did.
Look at
Wolf
that
of Wall
show.
Street.
No, not even Wolf. Look at
Moneyball.
how different
Moneyball.
he is compared to Wolf of Wall Street to now at the one with Emma Stone.
Oh, Maniac.
Maniac.
He lost so much weight.
Oh, I
He's
haven't.
totally
yeah,
different.
he is really.
He's totally different. So
I haven't
don't
seen
know.
Maniac. That's why I didn't think.
No,
Oh, no,
I
Maniac's
personally, I could
great.
see it. I could see that.
It's very experimental.
And also, there was a skit on SNL with Jonah Hill, and he pretty much like I don't think he was trying to be Adam Sandler, but he was sort of like acting like Adam Sandler. I forget what the skit was. If it comes up in mind, I'll Shout out that name.
Yeah. I could see, like in Wolf of Wall Street, he kind of had that.
He had that, like-
sort of demeanor.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I don't
That's
know.
why I was
I don't
thinking
know
that.
what to call it, but like he has like similar inflections as Adam Sandler.
Fucking, I mean, but yeah, I thought his performance was great. I don't think it didn't blow me out of the water like Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse.
Oh my God, Captain Ahab.
Yeah.
to
Like
the
it's
max.
so good. You know, I'm sure like I don't think he'll win anything. I'd be really, really happy if he got the nomination.
Did you hear what he said if he doesn't get nominated? Or I think if he doesn't win at the Oscars, he said he's going to make a purposely bad movie. Like he's gonna make Grown Ups 3 and he's gonna make it purposely shitty.
Is that what Sandler said?
I read an article about that. Maybe it could have been a fake news, but
It's got to be fake news. I mean, like Grown
He
Ups 2
seems like
was
such a down to
honestly.
earth guy.
yeah.
Grown Ups 2 was honestly a bad movie. Like they tried and it just didn't work. It all took place in a day. It just didn't work out. I can go off on a tangent.
I'm waiting
for
for
a really long time, but you don't
a
wanna hear
daddy
that.
daycare too.
No, there was Daddy Day Camp.
There was actually a
Yeah, different cast. Daddy Day Camp.
Oh, it was one of those straight to VHS.
Instead of Eddie Murphy, it was Cuba
the
Gooding
Waynes?
Jr.
Oh.
It
it was
was
one of
bad.
those.
It was bad. It was
Oh,
on Netflix
shit.
for a while. But fucking, I forget what I was gonna segue into
Oh
something.
well, I think we're hitting around 20 minutes, 22 minutes. Do you want to just like open it up? Or do you wanna
Let's see if
talk
there's
for a
anything
minute?
else.
No
that
way.
I mean, like,
Oh, shit.
was there anything technical that you didn't like about the movie? Because I don't want to just be like
Yeah.
circle
Jerking it
jerking
off.
and be like, oh, they're so good, because obviously there are flaws.
You mean technical as in like editing or cinematography, anything like that? or-
anything? I mean, like anything that
okay.
you didn't appreciate or like, or
here's the one thing. As someone who's a cinematographer and an editor, I think the editing was like really fucking like phenomenal. However, I think it took away a little bit from the cinematography, because normally I watch a movie and I'm like, wow, that one shot, like that was crazy.
That's a good point.
But although it didn't ever have me do that, it felt so fastly cut, like, and it helps the movie along, because there is a energy that needs to be matched through the movie, and the editing supports that. But cinematography wise, I think I just never am like through the whole movie ever like blown away by a shot or anything. I'm just kind of like, okay, I see what's going on. I don't need any complicated things, and maybe that's to the positive, because you would just be taken out if there was a long, hallway shot or anything like
or you
that.
wouldn't
As
feel
much-
as anxious.
Yeah.
They're obviously capable, because I mean I did appreciate the cinematography when it was slower paced in the beginning of the movie, but the editing definitely did contribute to the anxiety.
I
that he
think
was
without
feeling.
the editing, it wouldn't have been the same movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Would
because
Would
I
you say
think
Good
The
Time
editing was
did
a
the same thing?
huge key.
What?
Do you think like would you say Good Time had like the same effect in terms of the editing taking away from cinematography? Or-
I think the visuals
I
in Good
think-
Time is some of the best. Is probably
the lighting is very.
Yeah.
this
beautiful.
is this
colors.
movie is cleaner. Though.
Yeah, I think
It is
this
way
movie
cleaner.
blows Good Time out of the water. I'm sorry,
But
that's
and the
my-
editing, I think this movie is a better Good Time.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar. Obviously, the plots are different. It's very similar, but it kind
Energy.
of took
The energy,
everything that it
definitely.
did in Good Time and did it better.
10 times
The
better.
only thing that I could really think of right now, maybe upon rewatch, I'll pick up on things. Is what was the guy that worked for him that was selling the fake Rolexes? What was his name?
Something with a W.
Oh,
Harmony. What was it? Warmony. What?
terrible with names.
Lakeith
Movies.
Stanfield's character?
Yeah, the guy that was friends with Kevin Garnett.
Damani.
Yeah, Damani.
Damani.
Oh, it was Damani.
I did not understand that guy's motives at all.
I think that was the
no,
point.
he was
of
a-
it.
he
Like
Was
it
was
might
he
have
an
been the
employee?
point, but I just didn't understand that character.
To me,
like
what I was getting was he's a clout chaser. He's a total clout chaser. He just wants the fame. And he was like, oh shit, this guy's got rich people coming in all the time buying jewels. All right, I'm gonna hang out with him.
And it shows.
And then I'll pick up on who they are and try to hang out with them.
Okay.
He's a clout chaser.
And you really see that in the scene when they try to show up to basketball practice.
No, I think you see it more when you're at the club. And he's
Well,
like,
well, yeah, that
Oh,
too. But I
yeah,
mean, you
yeah.
really. I think that was the first time you saw like, okay, this guy's a little sketch now. When he was going into the hallway when he was walking down the hallway.
But that's my point, is that like,
Well, that part threw you off.
yeah, it threw me off, and I don't know, it could be intentional, and like
was
I
for the
said,
sake of
upon
his
rewatch, that's going to be something that I look at.
But like,
Everything that guy's character.
Everything happened so fast in that movie that there was a lot of times you don't know what's important and you need to retain it and what isn't important.
Which is good though, because
of course.
it puts you in Howard or Adam Sandler's shoes, or the character, you know.
just pick your battles.
Yeah, well, there's just so many things going on, and you're trying to focus on the one what's really driving the plot, which we'll get into. I guess we should just get into it now.
Yeah.
I actually,
Speaking of,
Or if you have any finishing thoughts
I
before
do,
we
yeah.
get
Before
into
we move on, there is one point you were talking about, like, you know, aspects about the film that we didn't like. There was one that I was a little iffy about, but maybe I'll change my mind on a second watch. I was fine with the editing and the cinematography. As someone who enjoys like writing and stuff like that, personally, there were moments in the film where I felt that certain story beats were kind of starved for exploration, and what I mean by that is that the film presents this tension of this character, this irresponsible, greedy character in pursuit of the ultimate win, and he's simultaneously trying to balance his business, these adversaries that try to close in on him, as well as his family. And I feel like the family aspect is a little...
This is too spoilery. I'm not gonna lie.
It's too spoilery. I mean, I don't think it's that
Aren't we
spoilery.
dwelling-
well, he's just
It
saying that
mentions in the summary of the
it's
film.
it's not explored enough.
It's not
and we'll
explored
go into
enough, yeah.
detail. Let's say we go into detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I want to say. Is just I feel like that aspect could have been explored more. But
think-
that's just me. Maybe I'll change my mind on
No,
the
I
second
no,
watch.
I
Yeah.
think you need to say it though again, but just wait until we go into spoiler zone.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
keep
worried
it.
that's too much information.
Nah, I
I'll
feel
Because
wait
the
it.
trailers
for
don't give you
All
anything.
right, so
feel
guys, let's just get into spoilers now.
do
If
it.
you do not want the movie spoiled, click away now. This is your warning.
3,
Go to
2,
Pornhub.
1.
All right, now that you're in spoiler territory, yo, the ending, how crazy was that? He
Dude.
got fucking shot.
Holy shit!
Oh, you didn't click away?
Fuck
Sucks.
that bitch.
Oh my god, dude, that climax was fucking fantastic.
I was gonna bite my fucking hand off.
I don't even give a
Yeah.
shit about sports, and I was on the edge of my
brain's
seat.
out.
Oh my god, dude! I hope you zoom in on the fucking bullet hole too. Turns this into the fucking universe.
That was a clean shot.
That was
too.
so
Wasn't
clean.
it
I was
such a
looking.
clean
I was
shot?
looking for like where they digitally split the footage, and I was like,
You couldn't
"No,
tell.
you did a great job
Yeah.
adding film
Yeah.
grading to that digital split."
One of
no,
the best ending shots
So
of the year.
fucking all right. So whatever. If if you haven't seen it, or if you're looking for a quick summary, should we give a summary? I don't know. Like
I wouldn't call it even a summary. I would just say,
just start from the top
yeah,
and
let's
move
just
down.
exactly.
All right. So I guess
Ethiopia.
Well,
Yeah,
we skipped
Ethiopia.
them
I mean,
a
we
little
went
bit.
into Ethiopia a little bit. Totally threw me off. I was just like we mentioned earlier, I was like, what the fuck is going on? But whatever. It was needed. It was a nice introduction to show you kind of like, you
Blood
know,
diamonds and all
I mean,
that.
this guy, this blood diamond or blood gem or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and who this guy is really mixed up with before you really, really meet him in the beginning.
Opal.
Yeah, Opal.
Opal. Where's the opal?
Fucking, but I'm trying to, what was the first scene? The first scene of the movie?
Well,
what were...
But
So
after
it goes-
Ethiopia?
After,
after
Ethiopia,
Ethiopia.
he's
It's-
at
he's
the
got a
doctor.
colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before that, it zooms into the gem, like it's entered the void, and then it zooms out into his colonoscopy.
Which was pretty
Very
funny.
interesting.
No, it was a good transition, but it didn't.
Because he's full of shit. Yeah. No.
Actually, he was completely empty of shit. If you remember.
Oh,
correctly.
yeah, he's an honest
He's like,
man.
he was like, wow, this man has no shit within him. But that's a
I almost
little.
forgot that if he opened up with a colonoscopy.
Well, yeah, I was like, am I in an ear? Or, like, what are
Yeah.
we in? It was interesting to see that, but, like, it makes sense once you kind of find out the plot of it. And, like, Kevin Garnett looks into it, or he mentions, like, oh, you look into it, you could see the whole universe. And then by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, that makes sense, because there's bookending shots.
Great reincorporation, yeah.
So you're like, oh, that's really cool. Whatever.
Should we talk about the intro and how, like, the vibe that it gives off? Like, how it
Watch
shows
the Ethiopia?
No, like the credits, the introduction of like the credits, how it shows
Yeah.
everything, and how interesting it is, because it really threw me off. In Good Time, they show the credits for like the cast and the crew like 17 minutes into the film. Comes out of total left field, and it's very interesting. and it just throws you into this tailspin, this catharsis. It's just really on the edge of your seat. And then with Uncut Gems, it has like almost like a 90s drama vibe with the introduction of the credits. It's very interesting, and the music as well. The music in this film feels very different from Good Time.
You're really
but it
trying
also
to figure
feels,
it out.
You think so? I think.
Well, there's also
copyright.
There's also copywritten music in this.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
There's a lot of rap and things like that.
It feels different, but it does feel very similar in the synthwave.
Can I just say, getting The Weeknd in this film?
Oh my god!
I think it was the randomest name, but now that thinking back when they said like, oh, it's 2012. I was like,
he was a nobody.
Yeah, you know what?
At that
I
point.
think I pretty much like I went and saw
no,
The
not-
Weeknd
yeah,
in
not a nobody.
2012. I went to.
He wasn't as big a name.
Was it 2012 or 2014 I saw him? Whatever. The point is that
That
The
time
Weeknd was
period.
like on his come up then. So to find him in New York like at a show, like totally plausible. Like just being
In a
able
small
to
bar,
like
too.
yeah, a small
Yeah.
bar, being able to hang out with him. I was like, yeah. So I felt the connection there because I was a bar crawler for sure in 2012.
Fucking I mean, yeah, they grabbed a lot of big names, like Kevin Garnett. If you watch basketball, everyone knows Kevin Garnett, and especially like when he was on the Celtics, a lot of people like looked up to the Celtics. At least I remember. It wasn't like I'm gonna go on a little sports tangent. It wasn't like when LeBron went to the Heat where everyone hated him. It was different. Everyone was like, holy shit, that's so cool. But not the point. But it was interesting seeing people like that. They, along with street casting, which was funny when me, Jake, and RK saw the movie. There's a guy that drops off the opal and fish, like the opal's
yeah.
in a bass, and he had to cut open the fish to get it out. The guy that drops it off was actually sitting next to us in the movie theater, which was really cool.
And when we
his
noticed, they were all cheering when he came in, and like I was like thrown off. I'm like, this is not something to be cheering about. And me and Matt both like looking over, like glaring at them, like, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up. And then we see it's the guy that came into the scene. You're like, oh shit, fuck.
Yeah, then we were like, oh, that's cool. It's all right that you guys talk during the movie. I don't care.
Yeah.
You talk all you want.
I'm sitting next to a fucking celebrity right now.
You guys were in a big theater too, right? Like
No, it was actually pretty small.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't
Oh,
the
wow.
biggest theater. I think the 10:30 screening had a bigger theater.
Yeah.
But we
Still,
couldn't get
that's-
good seats at the 10:30.
still like small world for him to be right next to you guys. That's awesome.
It was really cool. He seemed like a nice guy. He was just kind of happy to be there, and happy to be a part of it.
Right after he saw the scene, he's like, all right, now I can go home.
Street casting, they are very adamant about street casting. Like you wouldn't even know who was like a seasoned actor and who was street cast in Uncut Gems. Like Arno's goons, those two guys that follow him around and all that shit. Like I thought they were seasoned actors. I look them up on IMDb. First film they were in.
Really?
It's yeah. No, I swear to God.
And they
it's
killed
amazing.
it, man.
Yeah, they-
Especially that one
yeah.
guy.
The one with the
main guy.
tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah, and that little like weird patch on his neck.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
how you
what
know
that
the
was.
directing
Slacking
is really
people.
that good, because you don't know who they just picked up off the street, and you see like Kevin Durant, and honestly, he didn't even do that bad. Because I mean,
Garnett.
whatever. I don't know
Durant.
sports. I said Durant. Oh, well, I'm a pretty
Totally
good guy.
different person.
Well, I mean, he was believable,
He was.
and like, I was amazed by that. When you think back to movies like Space Jams.
Oh, and Michael Jordan is fucking awful.
And like obviously they were just like they rolled the camera, they gave him the lines, and he just didn't know what the fuck.
He
to
knew
do
his
with himself.
character, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was. I guess it says something to the directing, because usually, yeah, to your point, you do see these big names or these, these songwriters and like musicians and stuff, and they're acting. It felt like, they were doing a really good job.
He played a big role too. It was astonishing how much screen time he had, and
Yeah.
he really felt very believable.
Actually, thinking back, the scene with The Weeknd was kind of rapey.
Yeah, what the
Oh.
fuck? Yeah,
and like he was just like, yeah,
No
I'll do that.
But
Like
it
she
was
literally kept
playful
saying
rape.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was playful though,
He's like, oh, come on.
because
girl, know
she
you
kind of
want
like
this.
she was like playing like hard to get
Yeah,
almost.
it was teasy.
So like if you haven't seen the movie, Adam Sandler's with Julia Fox's character, who unreal her ass, like quite.
The argument is
No,
it
when he
real?
says unreal, he actually doesn't know if
I
it's
don't
real or
know
not.
if it's real, but the thing is, I think it's real because I am an optimist. I really think her ass is real because I saw cellulite.
I'm telling you, it's real, but I'm still doubting.
So we had to
I've
ask
never
her.
seen anything like that because she's skinny. Usually, she had like a like a thick black girl butt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout
like, shout out. But like,
ass is
that
out
ass
of this
was
world.
I remember I looked at RK. I was like, "Are you seeing this right now? Like, am I the only one reacting to this?"
Anytime that ass was in a shot, me and Matt would look at each other and just like fucking bite our whole fist. Okay,
Yo.
like that was how nice it was.
Oh.
If you haven't seen the movie, go just for the ass, and I swear to God, you will not be disappointed.
You know, I gotta say, props to Julie Fox for being incredibly comfortable with, you know, performing, because this is only like her second film, I'm pretty sure.
Do you think she did porn?
I feel like she did. Julia Fox screams porn.
I'm pretty sure she's like our age, though.
If she hasn't,
Okay, just because
is.
you're beautiful doesn't mean you're
But
you're
the
in the porn
name
industry.
seems fake, is my point. It could be a screen
Julia-
name.
yeah,
Julia
Julia
Fox
Fox.
screams porn, doesn't
Yeah.
it? That screams like a porn name.
Oh yeah, I mean Megan
Quick,
Fox.
someone look it up on
Julia
Pornhub.
Fox, if you're listening right now,
You're
just
a
shoot me
fox.
some links.
No,
Show
I don't
that
mean that.
ass.
I don't mean that in a disrespect. It's not because she was bad at acting, because her performance
No,
was
it was
wonderful.
fucking great.
But that goes back to the directing. Like everybody was believable. Like normally, like I'll raise an eyebrow if like I'm cringing a little bit at someone's acting, but like
Even Mike Francesa,
yeah,
who I mean, like, which was intentional. They put a bunch of people that were from New York, which was super cool, and they always include small things from New York. Like there'll be like small references of Long Island and whatever, because they're from Brooklyn. And like as New Yorkers, we're like, yo, we appreciate that, especially in like Good Time, where they talk about Adventureland.
That is, I
And they
still love that shit.
shot near us. They shot in every borough. It's just really cool because you're like, you get super pumped up, or you see like a, what was it, Celino and Barnes commercial in Good Time. You're
So
like,
Long
oh,
Island.
what, Celino and Barnes?
Oh my god.
Like that shit's cool. Like they'll pay attention to that. It's the small little attention to detail.
They honestly are they are very masterful at directing actors, especially because they can take someone with no experience and turn them into someone completely transformative.
Something I'm curious about, like, as much as I have researched and watched by the Safdie brothers, are they from New York? I don't know.
They're from
they are.
Brooklyn.
They are from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're from Brooklyn, but they went to school in Boston.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
I knew they went to school in Boston. I wasn't sure if they were originally from New York. So that makes more sense that, like,
Yeah, no.
they know enough about New York, because, man, like, Good Time, they go out on Long Island and we see Adventureland.
Yeah.
And like Adventureland is like this fucking, I'm sorry,
It's awful.
Adventureland,
No,
it's
it
a
sucks.
garbage fucking park.
For kids,
Yeah,
you know, like
good for kids that are like 3 years old and like don't know how to actually like get hurt on anything.
talking shit about Adventureland.
I'm just saying, dude.
Yo, two adults
Like,
got
I'm not
killed
looking
in
for
I
Adventureland.
love the ladybug.
I'm not looking for
Yo, someone got
sponsorship.
killed by that roller coaster. They
was
fell on the
me.
track and it fucking ran over
Are
them.
you serious?
I swear to God.
I did not hear
little
about
known
that.
fact, Jake's actually a ghost.
But yeah, no, my point is that like I see a lot of detail, and like there's one scene in this movie where it's like, yeah, we're going to Long Island to my father's you know, what did they call it? It's just like,
Ramadan or
Passover?
fucking Passover. Yeah, it was
Passover.
Passover. Yeah.
and like that to me that was like, oh, what a cool little detail that you're from a rich family, they have a house on Long Island. You know, granted people know that, but I'm just saying like it just felt more down to earth because of it.
But to backtrack on Julia Fox and her character, it was super interesting because they really do play with your mind and who you can trust, who you can't trust.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of it, you really don't know who you can trust. But like with hindsight, you look at Julia Fox's character and everything, whatever, she's the mistress.
Yeah.
And everything screams like, oh, she's a gold digger. She doesn't actually like him. Yeah, she probably is a gold digger, and money is probably a big reason why she's with him. But each time she gets tested, she proves that she is trustful.
But that's why we respect her in a weird
Yeah,
way.
because like when there's a scene where he's hiding in his own closet in their apartment, and like he's texting her trying to you know, like see if like she would play along with it because she's wearing like lingerie, and she was entirely truthful. She sent him like nudes. She was saying she was playing with herself. She was
didn't even
playing with
think of
herself.
that scene.
She was completely honest. And then whatever, although she like kind of got raped or something, like I don't understand that scene fully. Did she cheat because she was like no to, I almost said Wyclef John, to the weekend? She was like,
What the
no,
fuck's
don't
The
touch
Weeknd?
me, don't touch me, no touching. And then like I don't know if he like pressed up on her and she was like, "Wow, you're really that hard right
It was
now."
a little ambiguous though. Like,
I guess you're not supposed to know.
but she probably did. But
Listen,
I mean,
if I
like,
walked in on my girl in the bathroom with The Weeknd, she could tell me whatever she wants to tell me. I'm still gonna leave, and I'm gonna just hold it to my heart. Like, thank God she found The Weeknd and not some fucking like
So
Long
what you're
John
saying is-
Silver, who's a
You would let your
nobody,
girlfriend fuck The
fucking
Weeknd.
chilling. Yeah, I'd let her fuck The Weeknd.
well,
and-
the
and
way
bring
I
her
look
up.
at it,
It's confirmed.
At first,
Confirmed. I want to
Hey.
see a little like check mark.
at first, I was like, "Oh, that's not cool. You're cheating." But I feel like there's a part of us where like it's almost okay if you had the opportunity to hook up with a celebrity. You
They
probably-
did
It's
blow up.
not
It was a
okay.
It's not
okay.
Not-
Look, it's not okay. But I mean, in movies and TV shows, whatever, even married couples, like they have like this weird pact, like, oh, if you wanted to fuck Billy Mays, I don't know why I'm saying Billy Mays, but if you wanted to fuck Billy Mays,
Rest in peace, bro.
you can go fuck him. It's okay because I'll
Especially now, if you could find.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Go for it.
Hold on.
But,
Why was Billy Mays the first name you landed
I don't know.
on?
I missed the guy.
OxyClean.
Yeah, yeah. I drank
Hercules
tons of
hooks.
oxygen.
There's a lot
Glow.
of blow in this movie. Billy
Yeah.
Mays did a lot of blow.
Oh my god.
What I'm
bet you
saying
did
On an
is,
airplane.
all jokes aside,
This is
hey,
is
what's
annoying.
happening right now?
No, it's just the computer doing
okay.
its thing.
Technical difficulties.
All jokes aside, now that I think back at it, like at first I was rooting against her because of that scene. I'm like, oh fuck this bitch, she's a gold digger, blah blah blah. But then again, I was like, you know, every time she had the opportunity to, fuck, what was his name over again?
The Weeknd?
The Weeknd.
No, not the Weeknd. Howard.
Billy Mays?
Howard. No,
Howard
fuck
Ratner.
him
Oh.
over. Like the
She
even
didn't-
just a simple conversation that she had over text. Like I had the feeling that maybe another guy was gonna come in.
Well, there's a
or
great
some
scene
shit.
where she constantly is trying to apologize.
Oh, the smoothie scene?
And she was like, "I rushed over here," and he's like, "Oh, you really fucking rushed over here? But you had time to stop for a fucking smoothie and knocks it all
the
over."
chemistry was amazing.
But there was another scene where like this goes to show that you can trust her. Is that he gets into an argument with her because of The Weeknd, and he was like, "I want you out of the fucking apartment now."
And she got out.
And he drives to the apartment to check with his son, whatever, that's added stakes. But he checks it and he's like, she's gone. She's not there. She listened. She took everything out. She was respectful. She didn't make a scene.
Actually,
And
now,
then she left.
now that you bring that up, now that makes more sense to me because, okay, so
Like, her
The movie-
character is great.
the
Yeah.
movie does this the whole time. They are constantly, I think it's probably every 5 minutes, create a mini conflict, right?
Yes.
And you see this mini conflict, and it either goes away or it doesn't. But now that we're talking about it, I'm realizing every mini conflict that had to do with her, she passed, like you're saying, and every other mini conflict is failed. But they're not like back to back. So you
That's why they go
actually
over your
get
head.
comfortable and anxiety throughout the whole movie to the point where you don't trust when things are going to happen. But I think only if you were giving very close attention would you trust her after the first 2 or 3 trials she has.
Well, it's also subtle, too. You don't think about it because you're so focused on everyone else trying to get him. Whether it's Kevin Garnett,
Yeah.
because they at first they show Kevin Garnett almost stealing the opal and no one's answering him. But then he eventually comes back, gives him it, loses the auction, Kevin Garnett, and then he still buys the opal. And I guess at the end of it, and then on top of that, he's like, no, I'm going to put all this money, I'm going to bet on you, Kevin. I'm betting on you. This is how I win. And then Kevin Garnett is like, nah, man, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. But in the beginning, he's like, you should do that. So it's weird because then you're like, oh my God, I can't trust this. He's going to fuck up. He's going to lose. But it turns out he fucking gets it and he hits the bet. So it's interesting the way that they play with you and they manipulate you to feel whether to trust someone at certain points and when not to. You know what I mean? Like,
And going back to creating conflict, it's very astonishing how the Safdie brothers can create tension with scenarios that normally wouldn't even be that like high stakes or like anxiety inducing. For example, there's like a 5-minute scene where Kevin Garnett comes back to the Howard's place and there's like a door that you have to buzz in to open, and then you're in like a box.
I want to kill myself.
Yes, that door closes, and then another one has to be buzzed to open. And there's a scene that goes on for 5 minutes where the second door won't open, and it just goes on and on and on for 5 minutes, and you constantly feel like this weird nail-biting tension.
There.
Like, they're right there, and like you're worried, like, is Kevin gonna fucking leave with the opal? And it's just like they just.
That's when I forgot how to breathe.
And you know what's
yeah.
So what we were saying was where Jake was mentioning it, that's when I forgot how to breathe. The movie, I like at least 45 minutes straight, or an hour. What is the movie? 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The entire movie is so anxiety-inducing, where it's like when you start thinking about when you have to breathe, or like if you feel your skin on your clothes.
Yeah.
I mean your clothes on your skin.
I hate it when I feel my skin on my clothes.
and shit like that. So it just really made you feel that uncomfortable. After the movie, we're like, fuck, I need a cigarette.
Yeah.
That was intense.
It stays with you. It's such a flooring experience that it just keeps you up.
Not
And
a
you
lot
know
of
what's-
movies
you
do
know
that. It lasted so long.
And-
Like, can it get any worse?
You know what's interesting? Just to backtrack on the trust thing. Almost everybody passes the trust thing to a certain extent. Even what was Arno?
Arno, yeah.
Arno. Everything tells you not to trust him, and then at the very end of the movie, he stands up for him, trying to protect Howard of his life, and ultimately dies trying to save him.
We should probably explain like what exactly the climax is.
Oh, so the climax is they're locked in that box where you need to get buzzed in, while he bet $165,000 that he sold the opal
They're
for.
literally watching the game with him because they're forced to.
And
In
they
this
watch the
fucking
game.
hot box.
He wins, so Howard or Adam Sandler lets them in, and immediately they pull out the gun to go kill him. And then Arno, who's his brother-in-law, tries to save him and gets shot as well. So you can trust him the whole movie too. If anything, it seems like he's not the boss, and he's actually being pushed to antagonize this guy because of the henchmen, the street actors. But furthermore, the only person that we probably should have never trusted, but you trust the whole movie, is Howie. And for some reason we constantly are justifying him, but every single step he makes is a fuck up. And luckily he's able to weasel his way out and talk his way through until the bitter end.
It's just like Connie in Good Time. You don't want to identify with them because they're morally ambiguous, but what they're doing is kind of a benefit for certain people, and you want to see him. Unfortunately, you want to see him succeed. Like, for example, in Good Time, you want. Can we spoil Good Time, or should we not?
I mean, we're in the spoiler zone anyway.
No.
I wouldn't spoil it.
All right, I won't spoil Good
because
Time,
that
but-
movie doesn't see. Not a lot of people have seen that.
Yeah, but basically, he wants to do something that is morally ambiguous, but to some people, it could be for the greater good, and that's also the case with Howard Ratner.
Yeah.
I will say, for those of you listeners that are not as good with words, what they're pretty much saying is he's a fucked up guy, and we still like him.
Well,
Yes.
it's a classic. It's a classic anti-hero, but the point of it is that they play these mind games with you with all the side characters. Meanwhile, in reality, he kind of is the bad guy. And on top of that, it's interesting to see this movie from a different perspective, because if you took this story and you put it into something Scorsese made or something, or Goodfellas, like whatever, it would be from the mobsters, and you're like, yeah, beat the shit out of that guy, get your money. But this time around, we're following the guy who is not giving them the money.
And we always...
And you never see that.
Yeah.
You never see that.
You always overlook that guy, like someone like in an organized crime movie or some shit. It's like, oh, this is another guy that owes money.
He gets shot, and you don't feel bad.
But now he's the main character. He's this piece of shit fucking scumbag running around with all this money, pawning shit off.
Gambling addiction.
Extreme gambling addiction. And you really know it's serious. Matt, you brought this to my attention when he visited his family and he was with his son, and his son made a bet.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, oh, I bet like, what was it, like 50
Yeah, he was like
bucks?
$20, $50, something.
Yeah. And then his dad's like, oh shit, like you see it in his face.
No, the dad, if
He
anything,
rooted it on.
Yeah, he was
Did
like,
he?
that's
I'm
cool.
remembering
Like,
it
we
wrong.
can get along, because it was when It was there were two moments. It was fucking when he's at his house and he goes into his son's bedroom and he's like playing basketball, watching the game too. He's like, yeah, I threw $20 on the game, and he's like, you throw anything on it? And he's like, Dad's got a lot of money on the line.
Couldn't even say the number.
Yeah, and he was like, how much? He's like, He's like, you don't want to know. And then again, they talk about it when they're at the play, I believe. I could be wrong. There was some kind of conversation about
They were talking about like going on vacation or something.
well, no, that's with the other
With the
couple,
other
but with
couple.
the son, they talked about
Wasn't he on
something.
the phone or something like that?
Well, he was on the phone trying to figure out something. I don't remember.
Probably where the opal was or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. But it's just interesting. It's a vicious cycle. It's, whenever he succeeds, it's just like, okay, you could stop. He apologizes to his wife for what he did, and that he's fucked up and he's trying to end it. But then once it gets hard again, he resorts right back to his old self. It's truly the cycle of someone struggling with an addiction.
It's the most complete story that you could get with a character with a severe gambling addiction. Like, this is just, it's almost like kind of sad to watch. Like, this guy, he really could turn himself around, but he just goes deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole.
Breaking through that. Yeah, like every time you think he's safe, it's like, okay, it could have been bad. He made it by the skin of his teeth. He's golden. He's just like, no, we can make it better. I'm gonna bet money on this.
Yeah, he could have stopped when Kevin Garnett bought the opal after losing it in that auction. He could have stopped,
But
he was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do
he's
this.
like, oh, this is worth so much
we're gonna
more.
win.
You guys are downplaying this, and then
he was right.
And he also
then
never even
it gets
said
him
how much
killed.
money he spent on the blood diamond.
his addiction ultimately got him killed.
Or no, he
I
did.
think he does say
Does he
it.
say how much
said-
money he
he said
spent?
it was less
he
than
literally made
$100,000.
Yeah, he literally doubled his money when
Garnett bought it.
Barnett. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And he was like, you don't want to know. And he's like, what? You made a profit though. He was trying to make what, 10 times his money.
He said it was worth $1 million. Oh man.
And he didn't get it, obviously. And
He knew what he was doing all
that
along.
whole sequence also, again, with trust, is like you meet these characters, you don't know if you can trust them or not. So he gives the money that Garnett gave him while the henchmen are in the other room and locked in the box. He gives the money to Julia, and
Very
she
clever
goes
sequence,
she
by the
goes
way, with the
to
window.
she goes to a casino, I guess,
Mohegan-
probably Atlantic City
Mohegan Suite in, I think, Connecticut.
in Connecticut. So she goes there, bets $165,000 on the game, and then you get introduced to all these characters that are talking to her. They're like, "Oh, you have this much money on it, and you're like a hot babe." You meet this like old man,
Pilot.
the pilot. You meet
automatically
this-
assume he's gonna be.
Oh yeah, because he's like, "Oh, you gotta come up to my penthouse, blah blah blah." He's like, "When are you gonna come up?" Yeah, and he's like, "Oh man, it's crazy. We keep running into each other." It's like you literally flew her to the casino, you jerk off. So everything tells you no to this guy. And meanwhile,
He keeps butting in.
yeah,
on the
so they win the
conversations
money,
together.
and she realizes that there's henchmen at the casino, like, looking for her. And she hides out in his penthouse, and he does everything right by her. She even hides in a limousine, and
and
he
he gets her
brings
the
the money
money.
out to her to keep her safe.
And I thought he was gonna take that.
Yes,
shit, or
me
he'd
too.
fucking kill
Or
her.
I thought she was dead because the last time you see her, she's in his penthouse reacting to them winning, trying to call
And
Howie.
he's like, "Oh, someone may knock on the door," and like, maybe
Yeah.
yeah.
You think that he's a part of the henchmen, so it's like this misdirection, which they did really well because you're like, oh, he was totally fine. It wasn't like jarring where like it didn't make sense.
There were just so many things that built up anxiety. I mean,
We were
there
just
was-
misled the whole fucking movie.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
it misled so hard that like you're sitting in scenes, and we were in the theater, but it wasn't a packed theater. But my God, there was moments where it's like he walks back into his apartment, no one's there, and a bathroom door is slightly ajar with the bathroom light on. Every fucking person in that theater was like bugging out that someone was behind the door. Like every person.
Silence too. Like it almost sounded like there was no room tone
Yeah.
in that scene. And whenever there's a scene like that in a horror movie, a thriller, like you expect
know.
someone's gonna fucking jump out. a dead body's gonna fall. She's gonna jump out at him. One of the henchmen, like
Yeah, you had no idea what was gonna happen. There was
Yeah.
it was like that scene, and the other person that constantly caused you anxiety for no apparent reason because he never really was a threat was the one guy that he gives his fake Rolex to.
The
With the
Einstein
crazy
looking
hair.
guy.
Yeah. Like I kept thinking, like,
favorite
who the
character.
hell is this
Yeah,
guy?
this
He's
random
just some
guy you
rando.
never meet is just like, "Hey, Howie, are you gonna give me that money?" And he's like, take this watch."
he's always shooting
And
him
then
off
he's
like
like,
he's a fart.
I don't know, where do I sell this? He gives him an address, and he continues to talk to him about the watch, and he's like, he starts yelling. He's like, "I don't know about watches. I don't know anything about watches.
Like,
Why are you
pretending
talking
like he
about
doesn't
watches?
know.
Who are you?" He's like, "Who are you?" And this guy just like whenever like things are at peak like intensity, this random guy comes around, and that brings a level of comedy to it. Because it is Adam Sandler, there was a certain
Those
level
are the
of
funniest
comedy.
parts of the movie. Even his own girlfriend, after she supposedly hooked up with The Weeknd, he was like storming through the hallway, and he was dealing with all this other shit that happened. And then she like, I forget what she says to him, but he just goes, "No!"
Oh yeah,
Like trying to shoo her away from the cab.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, and like we were so fixated on what happened, what she did to him, but that doesn't even fucking matter anymore.
and the way she spoke to other people was pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
everyone was like, "Yeah,
That's why
yeah,
you're
you
standing in
fucking
line,
whore," and
bitch.
she's like, "Yeah, that's why you're standing on. Yeah, you're so important. That's why you're standing on line, bitch."
I loved
and you
it.
were like, "Nice," because after finishing the movie, I'm like, I really like her.
Yeah.
And you,
She's great.
And there's
Yeah, I
no
love
reason why I really should, because whatever, she's the mistress, whatever. Like every other movie that I've watched tells me no. But at the end of it, you're like, honestly,
She's better than the wife.
yeah, she is better
she
than
is
the
better
wife.
than the wife.
Does his wife have a tattoo of his name on his
yeah.
On her ass.
We
That
liked,
happened.
we liked
Especially
all
an
the
ass like that.
characters. We liked all the characters that you normally wouldn't like in a standard movie.
No, the anti-heroes stood out and really did the fucking best. They shined in this movie.
But it was just really
that's a
crazy
true
attention to
anti-hero.
detail, where it's every single character, you're thinking this through, and you don't know who to trust and who not to trust, and that's probably why it keeps you on edge, and you never know when something's gonna happen.
There was-
you really feel like him.
There was one very interesting reveal that I don't want to overlook. It was very subtle how they revealed this, and it was a very interesting choice. But Arno, the opposing force, the protege that Howard owes money to, we find out in a scene where they're having Passover, Pesach dinner and everything, and just in a very subtle shot, it reveals that Arno is Adam Sandler's fucking brother-in-law.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, holy shit, that comes out of total left field. The guy he owes money to is his own fucking brother-in-law.
Which it made so much more sense too, because he's always like trying to get a hold of Arno, and like, yeah, of course you're trying to get a hold of Arno because he's the the boss, and you want to talk directly to the boss, not the henchman. But like the way they really reeled you in to the point where it's like, oh, when Arno is your brother and he's the boss that you owe money to, you would think you would have a little bit more leniency towards him. But then you think back to the scene just prior, and he's the one who orders the whole get him nude and throw him in a fucking trunk.
Yeah. Well, the thing is
power
also
move.
before you even find out he's the brother-in-law, he's in the back of the car, and they're like beating the shit out of him, whatever, taking off his clothes, and he keeps saying, "Arno, Arno, Arno, don't do this to me, Arno." Arno turns around, he's like, "Don't say my name, don't say my name," because he
almost
is starting to
reminding
feel
him.
guilty.
Yeah. It's reminding him like, oh shit, like he's my brother,
Exactly, he's starting to feel
In-law.
guilty, and
brother-in-law. Same.
Yo, the father's so funny though. It's
Yeah.
his father.
That was Judd Hirsch from Independence Day.
yeah, he was really funny.
Yeah.
Just he's a what did he say exactly, Matt?
He's
You
like,
got the
"Oh
best.
yeah."
Be thankful he didn't marry your daughter or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
but the context of that, they were sitting there at Passover. He's like, "You hear the nerve on this guy? He comes up to me, says Happy Holiday." He's like, "We're celebrating Passover."
A fucking stranger in my own house.
Yeah. Like it was just despite how intense it was, there was quite a bit of comedy in it.
Oh, definitely.
Which is pretty great, because no matter what movie it is, you can't take yourself way too serious, because life has there's comedic moments in life, and absurdity and things like that, no matter what it is.
It was so realistic. It was funny.
And just those moments where you're just like, yes, you kind of want to cheer him on, like when he yells at the girl. when he yells at Julia, you're like, yes, fuck her, and fuck her for real. So we
And then
can
we're
see
rooting
it.
for her like 5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. The
I
roller
flip-flopped
coaster
so
of
many times.
emotions.
Yep.
This movie puts you through is nuts.
Just like the happiness that he showcases when he's like slapping the TV, like, yeah, Kevin's fucking winning, and he's just slapping the TV, celebrating, while Arno and his goons are just observing him through the glass. It's just so satisfying to see.
Holding these guys hostage, and he's like cheering with these guys. He's like pointing at them, smiling.
You having a good time?
Yeah.
So when
that
that
was a ref?
scene finished, I remember that constantly I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how the fuck is this movie gonna end?
Oh,
How is
absolutely.
this gonna end? But when you think in that final scene where like he's about to, you know, win the bet, you're like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna let them out? Like, I was like, I felt like, you know, if he lets them out, are they gonna just take the money? Or like, I didn't know what to expect. I remember trying to think of all the outcomes that could possibly happen. I don't know if you guys actually thought of anything.
I was very interested in the fact that when they presented like Arno after Howard wins, you can see Arno and he's kind of like cracking a smile. It's like, damn, I didn't think this would pan out the way it did, but holy shit.
You look at it, but that's another thing is you don't know who the boss is because Arno smiles thinking
that it's
wow,
over.
this guy just got off scot-free and got us the money back. And some. And interest. And you see him smile, but then they get out, he pulls the gun out immediately.
Well,
And you're like, Arno
goon.
has no control here.
Yeah, the goon with the birthmark on his
Yeah.
neck.
Funny, just because of my sense of humor, I wasn't guessing the ending, but when they got out, like I was thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, I'd probably want to kill somebody that did something like that to me, and he literally fucking killed him.
Right in the
Like, I was
cheek.
thinking that to myself,
Boom.
like, because like obviously, like, I mean, that's always like the scenario that I come up with in my head. I'm like, always like, he's gotta fucking come out and fucking shoot him in the fucking face.
So Jack was mentioning shit he didn't like earlier.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Keep in mind, I do love this film. However, I do hold Good Time as their absolute masterpiece, but this film is fucking fantastic. One aspect that I wasn't a huge fan of was the fact that, this film was very anxiety-inducing on purpose, and, there's all these different aspects, these different story beats that Howard's trying to juggle throughout the film, being, his business, these adversaries that close in on him, and then his family. I feel that his family is the weakest aspect of this story, and what I mean by that is that I feel like we kind of explore his family in a bit of a surface level way. Like his divorce isn't really ever touched upon just, they're getting a divorce and he's with Julie Fox's character. And I just feel like there could have been more ways to incorporate the family into the plot. However, I will say anytime that Adam Sandler and Idina Menzel were on screen together, I thought their chemistry was very, very believable, and personally, I just felt a little starved for more exploration with Howard and the relationship he had with his family, especially his daughter. They only had like 1 or 2 scenes together.
You didn't even realize they had a daughter.
Yeah, I completely forgot that he had a daughter.
Well, the thing is, you don't meet her, and then
She just appears.
and then they're like, oh, we have
we
a
have a
concert
play,
for
yeah.
Marcella or whatever. the
And
fuck
you know what's
it
so
was.
funny is I was expecting a little girl.
Same, but
Yeah.
it was a teenage girl, like 16, 17 or something.
I don't know what they were trying to do with the symbolism behind the gold coins flying out of her mouth, besides just like their gold coins flying out of her
And the
mouth.
dad
Maybe it's
liked it.
greed.
Yeah, he was like, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
That's
supposed
probably why
to.
he pukes.
Maybe it's supposed to symbolize Howard's greed as a character, because all he cares about is.
It's probably a real play, and then they
Yeah, oh,
just
yeah, probably.
decided that we're like, oh, we could use that because it kind of like fits the theme.
Probably, yeah.
But like, I agree. I think that if you're gonna use the family, you think about like when a mobster is fucking or like they're gonna kill somebody. The first thing people always go to is their family.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna if you're gonna use that as a threat or like increasing the stakes, you kind of have to deliver on that a little bit more, because rather than that, you kind of just wanted to see him live.
You're not really gonna feel for that. If anything were to happen to this family, would we care? Because we don't really know them.
Mm-mm.
We want to care. I mean, like, yeah, that would suck. And like, you know, his issue in that scene, it's just like, yeah, I gained a little respect for him in that scene because you saw him like in like more human, because like he was being attacked. He's like, really? You're gonna go after my family? It's like, yeah, I respect that you're trying to protect your family, but it's just like, who are you protecting though? You know, I haven't really seen much of them.
Yeah, you don't know them. And they also don't care about him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like an ex-wife who hates his guts. It's like, why should we care?
Well,
about
yeah,
her?
she, like, when he apologized, she laughed at him.
And when he came out of the car naked, she turned away.
She was like, classic. Classic Howie.
Classic
Like,
Howie.
shit happens every
Okay.
fucking Wednesday. That's really what she was like. You know, like, you're expecting her to freak out and be like, what the fuck? No, she looks at him.
Or get emotional or something.
She looks at him and goes, And then walks away.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe shit like that does happen.
That's
all the time.
that's pretty cool.
Because it didn't
says
phase her.
something.
We don't even know how much she actually knows about Howard's dilemma.
She's
you know?
so tired of his shit. But that's
Yeah.
probably why we see so little of his family, because Matt was saying earlier, this is a never-ending cycle, and they probably went through shit like this
Constantly.
So
when they find out
you heard that shit, I'm a little congested. Oh man, I'm about to have a
but
stroke.
you're right, because even thinking about the apartment now, like, if you remember when they pull up to the apartment in the car, like, the first thing she says is, we're going to Daddy's apartment, and everybody in the car is like, because they probably have done this before and literally waited for him to finish fucking his mistress.
Yeah, and then the son that looks up to him really wanted to go in there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And
He's
then
the
he finds
only
out
one
about
that-
the girl, and that was another comedic, because he was like, "Yo, no, you can't go to my bathroom," because he thought that the girl Julia would still be in there. So he brings him to the neighbors, and then they're like, and he was like, "Yeah, they said there's a hot girl that walks in and out of there all the time," and he's like, "What? Hot girl? No."
What are you doing with
And
those
he's like-
cokeheads?
Yeah, and he's like, those guys are cokeheads. Don't listen to a word they
Oh
said.
my God.
And then right as they're walking out, he's like, "Don't repeat any of this to your mother."
Well, I mean, that's like, you know, that sort of broke my heart a little bit, because he's the only one in his family that actually probably looks
Likes
up
his
to him
dad.
or likes
I know,
his dad.
and it's so sad.
And then it's just like, damn, he probably lost that a
well,
little
he's
bit there.
fucked that kid up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see right from the get-go that he doesn't really care. Because, I mean, other than that one kid, because he can relate to him. Because the other one, like, the kid's trying to sleep, and he's, like, laying in the bedroom with him, watching the game he put the money on, and keeping him up, even though he was supposed to be putting him to bed.
Yeah.
He's like, yes! Ah! You know, it was funny,
Yeah.
but if you think about it in the parenting...
Even when he was in the room with oh wait, no, he did have two daughters.
He had 2 sons.
2 sons,
Oh
1
yeah,
daughter.
the
Oh, I
young-
forgot
the
about the
younger
son. Yeah,
was,
because
like,
I
barely
forgot he had 3
explored.
kids.
The little boy. The
Yeah,
little
'cause-
boy wanted more attention from him. You could just get that vibe.
Yeah, he was supposed to be putting him to sleep.
And he was watching
And
the
you know what,
game.
he was
Maybe we
laying on
didn't
the floor
see-
watching the game.
Maybe we didn't see enough of the family, mainly because they really wanted you to put, like, honestly, they could threaten the family and, like, yeah, he cares, it's his family and they're innocent, but at the end of the day, he doesn't care.
So we
Maybe.
don't care,
Maybe.
and we're looking
You're
at
really in
it through
his shoes.
his eyes.
Something
Yeah.
Matt said when we walked out of the movie theater that really was like, yeah, you're right. Was Adam Sandler was not a pussy, though. You look at this whole film, and it's like, even when he's getting chased by, like, the mob, he's literally outside putting up a fight when it's like 4 guys against 1, and he's like, I'll do everything I can fucking do.
He fights when he has to, but he won't fight when he doesn't need to, and he'll talk out of it.
That's what he's good at.
In the school, he fights off them, but like there's certain moments where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk my way through this." It's like, I heard you resurfaced your pool. Resurfaced?
I don't know who said that.
Like that was another funny scene. That movie was just good all around.
He's got such a charisma.
I
to
don't
try and
really
get out of
know what I
situations.
don't like about it. I feel like I need to watch it.
We have to
more
like
times.
search for the things that we don't
Yeah.
like.
And that's a good sign. Like, if you guys were unsure, like, if you're a big fan of Adam Sandler's other shit, like Billy Madison.
Punch Drunk Love.
or
Punch Drunk
Madison's
Love.
that one, or, you know, Happy Gilmore, Mr. Deeds, whatever the fuck.
I think this and Punch Drunk Love are just different realms of
Well,
Adam
the thing
Sandler's
is Punch
performances.
Drunk Love is 100% an Adam Sandler movie. It's just interesting to see Adam Sandler in an Adam Sandler movie that has a good script.
Mm-hmm.
Paul
Because
Thomas Anderson. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Continue.
yeah, PTA. But the thing is like he wrote it, but he wrote it to be the inspiration behind that movie was rom-coms used to be really, really popular. Those were critically acclaimed. before the crime movies became, and then after that it was like travel movies. It was weird. There was a cycle of things that were critically acclaimed, and he was like, I want to make one of those, like a Woody Allen, because all he made was the rom-coms, and he casted pretty much the biggest rom-com actor at the time, Adam Sandler, and put him in a good script.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson, he called it an Adam Sandler art film, and he's absolutely right, because he wrote it with Adam Sandler's role being just perfectly written for him as an actor, and I think he did an absolutely flawless job.
Oh, one more thing. Can I just say, something I forgot to talk about on the editing level. Something I noticed is they did a lot of repeating of actions. If he walked through a doorway, you actually would see him walk through a doorway again for like a split second.
That's Scorsese.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is very Scorsese.
Yeah,
I don't know if he had a say in that, but that is super Scorsese. But
Yeah.
so Scorsese's a little bit more in your face about it. You're not really gonna, unless it's not super in your face.
No, this was very subtle in this film, but it happens here and there when he walks into the apartment, when he walks out the hotel, not the hotel, the appraisal.
I'll tell you why I think why. Well, I mean, not like, I mean, in most Safdie Brothers films, like, they're very close up in their faces, but I mean, in this specifically, they were cutting up very, very fast, and for us to even register that an action is even happening, they almost have to repeat action.
That's what they do in like Jackie Chan films,
Yeah.
martial arts films. They cut a couple frames before a punch actually lands, so you can register the punch landing. Yeah.
Maybe it could have been a creative choice, but I mean, maybe they just had to do it because it's like, oh shit, that happened so fast. Even just something as simple as walking through a door.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't the technical, well, what's it called? Like, the viewing party that says, like, oh, this is good or this isn't. What are they called? Oh my god, why can't I think of it? The ones that are the test dummies for the movie, and then they go, okay, this didn't work, and this didn't work. Yeah, test audiences.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we weren't a test
Well,
audience.
I feel like,
but-
I mean, like, there's, I feel like a lot of us aren't biased when it comes to people. Like, we just happen to catch these upcoming directors, I guess you would say, in their prime, or who knows, they might not be in their prime. They might
They're only
eventually
getting better.
reach it. They're only, like, you look at their filmography, and each film gets better and better and better and better. It's like, how do you even get better than that? It's crazy, but it's a real treat all the way through. And personally, this is my favorite movie that I've seen this year.
I would say heaven knows we caught them at a good time.
Ha, ha.
Ah!
You're a pretty funny guy.
Thank you.
So I mean, like, I haven't seen any other movie this year that has trumped this one. So like, if I was rating it, I would give it the best score I could, because I haven't seen anything this good yet. Like, that's always subject to change though. Like, I could end up seeing Sam Mendes' new film and I'm like, oh,
Little Women.
or Little Women. I
Little
love
Women.
Greta.
It's playing in 35mm at the Alamo. I'm seeing
when
it.
is that?
I'm seeing it on the 26th. There's multiple screenings. I'm seeing it on the 26th.
If Greta's there, I'm fainting.
I'm with you.
Maybe sometimes Alamo has surprise guests.
I
Yeah.
would faint. I love Greta.
Alright,
alright,
we should
so-
wrap this one up.
Let's-
What do we
Carried
give
away
it?
now.
All right,
What do we
so
all
yeah,
give it?
everyone give it. I personally, right now, because I haven't seen any other films to compare it to, currently, ask me in a week, it'll change, or 2 weeks, it'll change. Right now, I'm probably giving it 9.5 or 10 out of 10 because I liked it that much. Yeah, it was really hard for me to find anything wrong with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go with anywhere from a 9.3 to a 9.7. That it's in that range. I'm afloat in those numbers.
Given, I feel like this is subject to change upon rewatch and upon what other movies come out, because I usually compare it.
Yeah,
Watching it a
things.
second time can change everything.
Yeah.
but the performances were all solid. Editing was solid. I was constantly guessing throughout the movie. Never could tell you what was gonna happen next, and fell in love with every character, good or bad. I fell in love with them. So I gotta say, hats off for Adam Sandler. Hats off to the Safdies. Great job.
I still believe that Good Time is their masterpiece. It's my third favorite film of all time. This film, immensely satisfying. I could see myself rating this much higher on a second watch, but as of right now, I'm going to give it a very high 8 out of 10. Very, very close to a 9. So we'll see. RK's waving at me like he's like, this motherfucker doesn't know what he's talking about, but I could definitely see myself giving this a 9 out of 10. cracked my top 5 films of 2019. So we'll see how it fares on a second watch. And on to Jake.
Right, before we hash this film out, I gave the film an 8.5, but now that we're breaking it down and all that, soaking in all of its juices, I'm gonna bump it up to probably a very, very solid 9. Could change later. But yeah, you know.
And just for the future of these podcasts, not sure if you'd rather just have us spit the shit. If you want 2 separate ones for BoxRoom, whether it's, you know, movie centric or, you know, I mean, we're all big gamers. We could talk about gaming. Obviously, there's other people that you guys haven't that you haven't met yet, but there are other people that will show up. If you have any opinions or thoughts, drop it in the comments. Just make sure, like, you know, we want to make what you guys want to see, whether it's this or if you want to see other kinds of podcasts, because we're pretty much open to anything.
Yeah, this is kind of like low budget version of our podcast too. We hope to develop this to be, you know, camera setups and, you know, a little bit more into it than just some microphones. I know it sounds probably good, but we have like 3 mics right now we're all sitting around, so that's pretty high quality. We want to go a little bigger. So we'll see how it goes with this podcast, and if you guys love it and you guys want to see more, we're definitely going to dump some more effort into it.
Yeah, because we all have a AMC A list.
Oh yeah.
Except me.
But so we can see whatever movie.
Fuck me, right?
So we can.
Or we can drop
continue to
Arcade's
do this.
Venmo if you guys want to support.
Make 'em okay, you gotta make
a list.
No, you
Yeah.
gotta make a Patreon.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll just make a Streamlabs for this channel. You guys can donate.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely stylize this a little bit more. Right now, this is kind of rough. We wanted to get this out there before it hits the mainstream like release, like that big release on Christmas.
Yeah, but look out for it. If you're in Cali or New York right now, in LA or New York City, you can watch
Nowhere
it right
else?
now.
Oh.
No, you can watch it right now. December 25th, international release.
Hell yeah.
Go watch it in theaters. It's gonna be a fucking hit. You don't want to miss it.
You'll see it in March in the Oscars. It'll definitely get some noms. Maybe win some shit. We'll see with the releases.
Original
of the other movies.
soundtrack.
Oh, yo,
I got it
tricks
winning
point
editing.
never.
We
What
listened
a
to the
fucking
whole
legend.
soundtrack before we recorded.
While we were setting
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I got it winning editing. That's
I could see it
my,
editing.
my addiction.
Totally.
I never had
Fun.
editing. I mean, editing has never scared me before. So editing.
It felt like Whiplash. The same, similar editing.
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
stylized.
Yeah, this has to be their
I
time.
did watch Whiplash for the first time the other day. which
We'll
is
talk.
pretty
We'll
nice.
do a Whiplash podcast.
Yeah.
All right, next
Quick,
episode.
quick shout! I'm gonna call it right now. Next episode, Little Women.
Oh yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm calling it. I'm
Little
calling
Women.
it Little Women.
Yeah.
Also, we're gonna post some other content. We're gonna drink and watch bad movies. You want to check that out? That'll be sick. Some skits we can post. You know, whatever. A bunch of other bullshit. Stay
Oldies but
tuned.
goodies.
And if you want some fun little small content, follow us on Instagram at that BoxHouse. I try to post every single day, if not every other day. It's a bunch of fucking goofs and gaffs and fun little stupid shit. Me trying to deep throat a lightsaber. You name it.
Should we
Like and
Comment when you
Fire.
want to see Matt Deep Throat next.
should we give out our personal Instagrams as well? Or
You can find them in the description.
Yeah,
Probably,
we
yeah.
can put it in the description.
follow me on Letterboxd too. I post run-on reviews for movies that I watch too. They're all one long run-on sentence.
This has been BoxRoom. Be sure to hit that like. hit
Jake
that
should say that.
subscribe.
He has a nice voice.
Alright, you fucking.
All right, and it's extra raspy right now because
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Alright.
I could do it.
All right, so what do you want me to say?
Never mind. I'll go fuck myself.
This was BoxRoom. You know what to do. that wasn't
Smash
that great,
the
but
Guys, if you
Fucking
enjoyed
like
it,
button.
hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're posting plenty of content.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Paul Rattoman. Peace out.
Exposed.
All right, bye, guys.
all right, you know it.
I'm Jack.
I don't
Oh,
know.
fuck, I thought
I don't
we
know
were-
what to do with
I
this.
thought we were outroing with our names.
No,
I guess not.
that's real outro right there,
Oh, okay.
boy.
I'll go fuck myself.